Welcome to the For Business Podcast. My name is Erick Cummings. Last month, you got to meet the CEO of Clearview Insurance, Holly Cummings. And this time, for episode 2, we have none other than Jennings here with us. So I just want to welcome him here, learn about his journey and how he became an influential person in the industry, which he definitely is, whether I like to admit it or not. I have learned a few things from these past few years. So, Jim, tell me about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me. Just to get started, I was all-state agent for about 23 years and rode that roller coaster up and would build my book of business. And then that book of business, when they raised their rates double and you only had one carrier, you only had one underwriter, you only had one policy, I was always frustrated. And so when the opportunity came, a person came by and introduced himself and talked to me about going independent. And I thought that was a great idea. And so now, being independent, I opened a company called Jennings Insurance Solutions. By the way, don't ever name the company after yourself, because if you don't stay, that name stays with it. And so I opened that with my nephew, and we ran that for about 6 years. And then I decided I got recruited over to go downtown Oklahoma City and work with a company called OAA, and they offered me a position to travel. Well, I thought that was a great opportunity. I got to go to other agencies and other like State Farm or Farmers or Shelter or USAA, and ask them, have you ever thought about going independent and having options where you can put your people with the right company, with the right coverage, and get the very best premiums that are available in our industry? And so I did that for about 6 years, and I went into agencies all over the state of Oklahoma, and I would teach them or coach them on what their best practices were. What about marketing? What about different companies? How to get access to those companies? And so I set up probably about 40 different companies, within the state, and with most of my territory was eastern Oklahoma. So I did that for 6 years, and then I saw the end coming, and maybe things weren't going great over there as far as that company wasn't maybe fulfilling all the promises, and I thought I probably at this point need to think about something else. And Holly, my daughter, came out of college straight into our agency in Hera, and she was first to CSR, which is a customer service rep, and then she became a producer, and then out of being a producer, she got really good at that, and she became the office manager and just taught people, what to say on the phone, how to talk to people, how to go over coverages and so forth. She then got recruited to go downtown to a major firm, and they wanted her to build their personal lines book. And she got down there, and corporate America is, by the way, not all that it's cracked up to be. And she learned really quickly that they made promises that they didn't keep. They had contracts that they didn't honor. And so she quickly said, Dad, I think it's time for me to do my own agency, and I want to be the boss, and I want to run it the way I think it should be run. And so she went about 6 months before I made the decision, and she then recruited me to come over to be a part of Clearview Insurance Services. And so we became, partners in this, and now I'm doing, I guess I get all kinds of titles from president to vice president of marketing, whatever you want to call me, and I'm the face of the agency. And of course, Erick here is our commercial wizard and has taken the commercial reins and learned so much about commercial insurance, and running now has about 3 or 4 people underneath you. And
Am I running this interview, or are you?
I am right now. And so
you haven't noticed that one of his biggest gifts, like my wife, if you noticed on the last episode, they can be long-winded and they have the gift of gab. Some people appreciate it. In this type of business, it is a skill set you will need to be successful. Where do you leave off at, or do you want to transition to something else?
So just talking a little bit about Clearview, is Holly is the CEO and president, and I'm running the marketing and the face of the agency in Norman, Moore, South OKC, really all over the city. We have a great presence in Midwest City, Dale City, Eastern Oklahoma County, and then you're doing the commercial. So, and I think one of the biggest things that that we've done is we've got talent. I mean, Erick is very talented, Holly's very talented, and I'm decent at what I do.
This interview is supposed to be about Jim Jennings.
I'm saying, as the company in Clearview has become very successful. And so if I have a part in that, great. If you have a part in it, great. And so anyway, that's
10 minutes ago you mentioned that
long
you were
does this go?
a captive agent with Allstate. It sounded like you might have been beholden to the market, and a lot of people in the market right now could maybe relate if you are a farmer's agent, a shelter agent, or what have you. When you made that transition to being an independent agent, like ultimately, what does that look like, and what makes you different than a captive Allstate agent at that point?
Well, and I think I've kind of mentioned it, but I can expand on it. One of the biggest things at Allstate is, they're great when their rates are low, and they're great that they have a commercial, the dummy that gets run over and makes all kinds of accidents. But at the same time, mayhem, yeah. And then they raise their rates, and when they raise their rates, you could build a book over there, say 2 million or 3 or 4 million, and they raise their rates, and people are getting out the backside because people are, a lot of them are price conscious. And you can keep certain ones that are more loyal and been with you 10 years or 15, but for the most part, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What's the difference? Like, I understood, Yankee nailed it on the nose about a captive. What makes Clearview and being an independent agent different?
Oh, way different. You've got 20 plus companies and all of our carriers, from Travelers to Encompass to Mercury to the Hartford Company to Liberty Mutual to Progressive to, you can take people when they call you and they say, hey, my rates went up, I'm pissed at you, and man, I'm going to shop around, and our normal procedure and normal comment back is, hey, let us do the shopping for you. And we just take their information, we plug it into our comparative rater, and that comparative rater, we send that out to all 20 of our companies. We get back the very best, rates that are available. We go in there and tailor it, make sure they got all the coverages that they need. And so we have options. At Allstate, they have one. State Farm, they have one. Farmers, they have one. They can't, and the only way they can change your rates is start diluting your coverages and raising your deductibles. We don't do that. We just put it back in, and notoriously, a company that didn't want it last year, all of a sudden, oh, we've changed our guidelines, and now all of a sudden, you fit perfectly in our company. And so we can move our people when their rates go up. But if our rates don't go up, we leave our people right where they're at. They're happy, we're happy.
So customer retention is much higher on the independent side than it would be on the captive.
Ours here at Clearview is as much as, and I don't know the exact number all the time because that number moves, but it's 91, 92%. There's farmers and Allstate agents right now with the retention renewal ratio that's probably in the 65-70 range. And so they're losing, every 10 customers, they're losing 3 to 4 of those. And so it's notorious. When I was out recruiting, going into farmers agents and Allstate agents, I would ask them point blank, and the easiest question to get them to kind of think about being independent was, if you quote 10 people, how many of those people can you quote and get all the way through underwriting, which is their company, their company underwriter looks at it, and then get them on the books? And they would say, maybe 2 out of 10. And so I say, well, then come over to the independent channel. And if we quote 10 people, we're going to win 8 out of 10. And I said, the 2 we don't win, their father's in the business or a family member's in the business, or
they're already with an independent agent.
They're already with the independent. There's the only 2 that we miss.
Yep. Just because I feel like this topic, there's a lot of people in 2024 with the market changes that might be interested in becoming an independent agent. What can you speak on as far as because you got in, it sounds like when the going was good, and getting your appointments with these different carriers, making those relationships. Now it seems like we're in a restricted market where those opportunities aren't just available to anyone. So what would you tell someone that's thinking about getting an independent channel now versus when you started your agency?
Well, there's all, I mean, even in, wherever you're at currently in the insurance business, right now, what we call this is a hard market. And it's going to be hard wherever. It's going to be hard at Allstate, or it's going to be hard at Farmers or State Farm, wherever you're at. And it's hard for us. But again, at the end of the day, we still have options. And if this company is restricted, we look at this one. If this one has different guidelines than they had previously, we just look at this one. And then we're constantly, the biggest thing in the independent channel is we're constantly looking for the next best company that takes care of our clients and pays their claims and has good coverage with good rates. And so you're still going to be better off being independent. And I had 23 years of being, captive, where you're captive. You're captive. You can't this is it.
You were held captive.
Well, it's a little small hole that you can get into. And so independent, you're still, your opportunities are still many compared to being one. So it's still good to be independent. Even in a hard market, there's going to be people say, right now we're not giving out any new codes to new agents. But however, there's always, and when it opens up, it's going to be, all those companies are going to want business, just like they did in the past.
Okay. So good news for future people trying to get into the independent channel. If you can't have your own agency, maybe even think about teaming up with the current agent that's already established. A lot of companies like ours are more than happy to have a conversation with people that are talented and want to build something for their future. Moving on, so Clearview was established in around 2018, and at this point, when you came on, you built an Allstate agency, you built an independent agency, you've been a recruiter, and you've seen the success from all sides of that. It's now 2024. What can you say as far as the amount of growth we've had and how fast we have done it about Clearview since 2018? Like, what can you tell us about that?
Well, and I used to tell anybody, and it takes a couple of different things, when I would walk into agencies and I would see possibly maybe that they're reading the paper or their feet are up on their desk or whatever. And as soon as I came over here, and even when I started the first agency, Jennings Insurance Solutions, I said this from the first day: if you're not quoting, if you're not on the phone, you need to get up and get out and talk to somebody and ask for insurance, for their business. People want you to ask. And so when I'd go into these agencies, two of the bigger things that separate anybody from, being successful or not, and it's four letters: WORK. If you work, and then you can, out of that work, you can learn, you can grow, but you've got to work, you got to show up. And it's really here at Clearview. We started, and as well as I know, it's nothing for any one of us to work 10-hour days. And I know that you were here last night till 10, probably. And I think I left at 7 o'clock last night. And so if you work, you can be successful. You do need a little bit of talent, but you can also learn how, to do what you need to do to be successful. But work. If you work, you're going to be successful. If you're not working and you're at home watching TV, you're not going to be successful.
That's a good answer. I like that, and it's very true. You're supposed to turn that on silent.
I knew that.
So I think something that's very unique, I haven't ran into it very much, which my experience isn't as vast as yours, but one unique thing about Clearview is your daughter is the owner, and you two have gotten to build a business together. How did that happen? Why did that happen? And how do you think that's affected the trajectory of the company?
Great question. As soon as she came out of college, she's, as you would well know, being your wife, she's very independent. She is very, she has her ways, and those ways, that's what she wants done. And amazingly, as a father, you sit there and look, and she goes, well, Dad, I want to do, I don't want to do insurance, I don't think, and and I'm going to take a couple of months and I'm going to find my right. Well, she interviewed at like Edward Jones. She interviewed for a commercial real estate company. She interviewed at, did I say?
I think Farmers, maybe.
Farmers, and a couple of other different places, and I didn't say a word. And out of the clear blue, we were in a car together and driving, and she goes, Dad, I think I want to go to work for you. And I went, wait a minute, where did that come from? What happened to Edward Jones or the commercial real estate company? And anyway, so she came aboard, and you could quickly see very talented, good with people, be able to talk to people, would be able to, just trustworthy, and people just migrated right to her. Just, and if I might have that same quality, is that, if you listen to people, listen to what their needs are, and and not do all the, people like to be listened. They, if they're talking and you're listening, they feel like they're, that you build a common.
I actually watched something this morning, and you're nailing on the nose when you meet somebody new, and you are listening, like you were talking about, and you're asking questions that dig deeper. There's actually like a response in their head where they get some dopamine because they're talking about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. So now when they leave you, the only thought of you is a positive because it's associated with that dopamine fix that you gave them by just listening to them and asking questions about their life or their story or situation. And that's psychology right there. So.
And I think some of us, like Holly or myself, I think you come by it naturally. I don't know that it's anything, but it's also something you could learn. However, it's always, I was always liked people, always cared about people, always wanted to know about people. How did they get where they got, being successful or maybe even not being successful? But you have to learn that. And so Holly was good at that. And so when she came to work there, we knew, immediately there's a talent there. And so when she was, went downtown, obviously I knew then when she's being recruited by a corporate world that they saw something that even a dad, you just look at it as your daughter, but you don't look at the talent there. And then when she was leaving, I already saw what she had already done with them. And I went, that was kind of impressive. She showed up. She was the first one there. She was one of the very last people to leave every night. And
nothing to do with y'all's piddleness nature. Y'all like
she can piddle. I can piddle with the best of them. But when it's work, and when you're getting something accomplished, you're getting a. So when she decided to come out on her own, I knew, that both of us would be pretty good at what we do. The only thing is we can both be stubborn and we can both be opinionated, as you well know, and we kind of wanted to go our way. And so we agreed early on. This is her baby. She's going to make the major decisions. Anytime I have a comment, I want to run it by her. And at the end of the day, she can say yes or no, but I'm not making the decisions because I'll be gone. I don't know when.
Hopefully you're not gone.
Well,
later rather than sooner.
I would say 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, maybe 6.
3 or 4 years ago you said that?
I said that 3 or 4 years ago. I just want to come in, I just want to do this, and I want to be gone. And however, this thing is just ballooned. We're growing at paces that we can't even comprehend. We're writing business that we didn't even think was possible. Our growth is exponential. And so, and again, I think that's attributed to, this is supposed to be more about me, but it's attributed. I mean, Erick came in and we didn't even realize how talented he was. And we put him in a cubicle. Cubicle and don't break anything. And some of the other employees came to us and said, Erick is like a bull in a china cabinet. Anything and everything he touches breaks. And I said, we got to be patient. And I said from day one, and when one of my employees came in, I said, I see talent. Now, we got to polish it, but I see talent. And it's the same with Holly. And then, and again, I think Clearview has been very fortunate to have, 3 people that are willing to work as much as they can. I know balancing home and balancing family is important. And I know God comes first for all three of us. And so put it all together and you got a pretty good formula to be successful.
Pretty good team.
Pretty good team.
And what I've always loved about it is that family. You kind of already spoke about it, but being a family business, a family company, instead of just seeing people on family days, you see them every day at work, and that's been a lot of fun these past few years. Something I want to hit on before we close out. So you've 40 years, long time, and you keep saying 3 more years and you're retiring or whatever. There has to be a part of you that believes that you're just now hitting your stride. Is there any part of you that feels like that? Because think about all the time that you've been in the industry and the success that we've had. Obviously, a lot of it's attributed to you being here and being a really good advisor, being out in the community. Like, what's to say that you're not at your best right now versus 20 years ago?
You might be right. I think when you're young, you're wet behind the ears, you're gung ho. I think you just go for things, and I think you make mistakes. And those over the 40 years, I know that I made mistakes. In business decisions as well as personal decisions, and then I think you wake up one day and really all of it comes together from 23 years with a captive company, seeing all of the different moves that they make and all the managers they bring in. And then I won several awards, went on several trips. And then you learn that, not everybody does everything the same. And so that was an experience. And then I always wanted to do the right thing every time, as many times as I could. And I know if I treated people the way I wanted to be treated, I would be successful. And I saw other people, they would come in and do things they probably shouldn't have been doing. They would get slapped on the hand. And 3 years later, everybody was, they were at the top of the food chain. And then all of a sudden, they're gone. Why were they gone? Because they weren't doing the things that needed to be done. And so you learn from that. And then and even Holly, her number one thing is, when we go through those 20 plus companies, you come back with 4 different rates. Well, why if you're saving that client $200, why wouldn't you just save them $200 and not $1,000? And there's agents out there that just wants to save them $200. Holly says, no, we're going to do the very best that we can every time with every customer. So we're going to save them most at that $1,000. Because if you take that $800 and put it in, you get commission off that $800. And so the agency does better. But at the same time, you're not doing for people what you should be doing for the people. And so that being said, I would say experience has been absolutely invaluable, and anything and everything that I could pass on to you guys or any of our new people that we started out with 3 of us, and today I think there's 15 of us that working
here every day, and about 20 on payroll. Total.
20 people. We've got 4 or 5 outside producers, and we've got 3 or 4 commercial producers, and then we got about 8 or 9 in the personal lines division. So, and we're always constantly teaching and always coaching and always, putting our best foot forward. And so, yeah, I would probably have to say, I got elected to be the president of the Moore Chamber of Commerce, and I thought, well, why me? And out of the clear blue, where did that come from? And so I'm introducing senators and congressmen and shaking hands with the governor, and I'm thinking, where did all, so possibly maybe I hit my stride, but it comes from probably just being yourself. And so I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever the age, and whatever you've done, but just be yourself, be honest, be upfront. You make mistakes, yes, and admit those, and be better tomorrow than you were the day before. And so definitely, a long answer is, most of my answers are long, but I would definitely say out of the clear blue, and it's probably just like I told you and Holly, as long as we're growing and as long as we're going forward and as long as things are, happening fast and so forth. But if we ever get to the point where we're just comfortable and we're happy and we're content and we're just going to level out, that's probably not for me anymore, because the excitement and growing and creating and thinking outside of the box and doing things excites me.
And building a company is exciting.
Building a company is exciting, and I don't think any of us thought we would be where we're at today. But the exciting thing is, where are we going to be tomorrow or next year or the year after or the year after that. That's exciting. But when it becomes unexciting, I got better things to go do.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I would think right now I might have hit that perfect sweet spot.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, which we're about to wrap it up, I promise, but you may see it, I definitely see it, the day that Jim maybe doesn't want to spend as much time at Clearview, I'm going to recommend that he goes into politics and he tries to go be a representative for one of the counties here in where we live. So what do you think about that? I brought it up a few times in the past 6 months.
You have, and I've thought about it, and I think I could make a difference. I think, again, you'd bring the same principles that you built an agency on, being honest, transparent, upfront, and making the right decisions. No offense to any different party of the Democrat, Republic. I wish all of us maybe were independent. Do away with the two channels and do what's right. Whether you're the county commissioner, whether you're a congressman, whether you're a House rep, and there's decisions to be made every day, and then look at it and go, okay, what's the very best for, and when you're serving others, not thyself. And so I would running and all the campaigning and the work. And yesterday I sat with Senator Weaver, Representative Kevin West, and Mark McBride. And Mark would go home last night, and Mark is on TV talking with the Ryan Walters, arguing over education. And but yesterday I introduced all three of those to the Chamber of Commerce, and then you see them on TV that night, and I go, I might be able to do that. And so it's an outside thought. Do I want the headache? Do I want the And it's like one of them said yesterday, every time you make a decision, you're only pleasing 50% of the people. And it means the other 50% that didn't win are upset. And you go, is that really what you want to do? So anyway.
Yeah. Well, that almost concludes. I want to speak on that last sentence you just said, because I've had to struggle with that a little bit. And what I found is, if you've already been talking about this whole time, if you stay true to yourself, your beliefs, your moral, if you have a stance, no matter what the outcome, you can hang your hat up at the end of the day.
Amen.
And not keep yourself up at night worrying about, X, Y, and Z, because at the end of the day you did your best.
Amen.
Well, that concludes the For Business Podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks.